Hello folks, welcome to another episode. In today's video we're going to be working on this Japanese maple. So it feels good to finally be back, and I'm really happy to show you some updates on some trees and also some other projects that I have been working on in the past months. Previously we worked on this tree, and what we did was we actually air layered some of these branches. We wanted to get some more trees out of this tree before we actually began the pruning process. Now that it's spring, some of these branches are actually waking up, and I can actually tell which ones have actually not been successfully air layered. But because there is some root growth right now and the trees right now are starting to push in a lot of energy, we're going to go ahead and just remove some of these air layers and also begin the styling of this Japanese maple. So we're going to go ahead and start off by just simply removing some of these air layers that I had made in the past. Like I said, some of them did not make it completely, and that is totally fine. We were thinking that there was not going to be a 100% rate of success, but we're starting off with that. This right here was actually a success, as maybe I think it's like 4 others that I counted. We do have some roots already growing in these balls, so we're gonna go ahead and just pot these in the next process. Alright, so I went ahead and just removed some of these, and it looks like only 4 of them have successfully worked. So the ratio, it's about 1/3 of the air layers, which is not bad at all. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and continue off by just getting the basic structure of this tree by simply removing some of these branches and then just cutting it into shape. The main reason why I wanted to do this right now is because I wanted to also fertilize it and just let it grow for a season or two. In addition to that, if I were to just let these trees continue to grow, these branches would continue elongating, and then therefore the spaces in between each knot would continue to elongate, and that would not be good for the ramification process. So let's cut this back into shape and then we'll go from there. Alright, so as you can see, I removed this branch from right there because it was actually taken away from the silhouette of the trunk. The next step would be maybe potentially removing this branch right here, but I won't necessarily know until I get the rest of the branches in placed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill some holes onto the actual pot, and once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and attach some wires onto these branches and then just go ahead and bring them down and put them in position as best as possible. Alright, so after doing some thinking and looking at the tree in different angles, I decided to just try to follow the traditional rule where no branches should be intersecting like the way that is happening right here. And as you're looking at the main trunk, we have this bifurcation of branches, and we have 2 branches right here competing to become the leader branch. That being said, there is another branch that is crossing with this trunk right here, and there's a pad already been formed right here. We also have another pad formed right here. So if we were to look into the pads section without counting this one, because this is a potential pad that is going to be removed, we already have 1, then we would have 2. Now counting the trunk right here, we would have a 3rd and a 4th one in the back, and then we could work our apex. In addition to that, another reason why this trunk right here would be eliminated is because as we are continuing to work towards the apex, we want these trunks to thin out as much as possible. So because this right here is already thicker than the one right here, this one would have to go. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove it, and I'm going to go ahead and remove maybe up to right here for potential dieback. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave these 2 branches right here just to continue to allow this area to be alive without having to damage the rest of the trunk. So alright, well, that opened up most of the tree. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue to bring those branches down so that I can continue to work them off. Prune the top just so that we can gain more of a shape. Now some of these branches are actually just going to go ahead and get fully removed. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave some new leader branches just to allow the trunk to thicken a little bit more. The main technique that I want to follow with this tree is just the clip and grow technique. I don't necessarily want to wire too much. And if I do add some wire, it's mainly going to be because I just want some of these branches to point in a downward position. So right now what I'm doing is basically just removing some of the branches that are either pointing downwards or upwards, and this is just solely to go ahead and just create those better paths. What I'm also doing right here is trying to decrease the distance in between each knot so that we can have better ramification towards the end. And I'm also removing some of the dead stumps. Alright folks, so I finished wiring the tree, and by wiring I mean just guide wiring some of these branches by attaching them to the bottom of the pot. In addition to that, in 2 branches I decided to just add 2 sticks which allow the branches to stabilize themselves, and as you can see I removed a lot of the foliage. In addition to that, I went ahead and left 2 of the branches up here to use as sacrificial branches. That would allow for part of the trunk right here to thicken up a little bit more, and eventually once these get cut off, then I'll start working more on the apex. But as you can see, I have one pad right here which is still there because I'm wondering whether or not I should keep it, but as the tree continues to develop itself, then I'll make that decision. I'm going to go ahead and let this tree grow for the remaining of the spring, and maybe around the summer I'll probably go ahead and do some partial defoliation. It's going to stay in the pot for this year, but as soon as winter comes we'll go ahead and try to find it a new pot. I hope you folks liked the video. I'm really happy to be back and demonstrating some of the trees that I'm going to be working on. Don't forget to join our Facebook page. Till next time.